Welcome, hockey fans, young and old, one and all. You have found your way into the neutral zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We've got a big show in store for you tonight. Tons of things to go over. Conor McDavid has been suspended for 3 games for a cross-check over the weekend. The right call, the right length on the penalty, too much? We'll discuss that. Bad timing for the Oilers as they welcome in Alexander Oechkin and the Capitals tonight in what would have been just a doozy of a game. We'll get you caught up on that game. Plenty of scores going on in the NHL tonight. We'll get you caught up on everything going on around the league there, of course. A big week for goalies. Alex Oechkin, 2 points, a goal, and an assist for the Penguins netminder. Was that the best offensive game ever in NHL history for a goalie? I think we can answer that resoundingly. And then not to be outdone, down in the ECHL, we had ourselves a goalie fight. Oh, man, Rapid City was having some fun with that one. And then we have a guest lined up for you tonight, Ricky K of the New York State of Sports, talking about all things PWHL. So much to get through, only an hour to do it. Buckle on up, everybody. This is going to be a fun show. Let's go. Good evening, everybody. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Zach Puplis is along with us as well. Good evening, Zach. How are you?
I'm great, Adam. How are you?
Doing all right. But we have got ourselves a busy show tonight going through the lineup.
No kidding.
We are talking so much stuff. Conor McDavid, Alexander Oechkin, Alex Oechkin, ECHL, PWHL, MSU. My goodness. We're spraying to all fields. We're going everywhere. We have got a big store lined up for you. And apparently tonight is matching sweater night too on the show. We'll have to see if we can get word over to our guest Ricky K in time so that he can join the club in that regard.
Glad I got the psychic memo.
Exactly. Well, you know, things come together fast on this show. I tell you what. So we have got a loaded, packed show in store for you tonight. Do not go anywhere. We are going to take a quick message from our sponsors, and then we will be right back to start things off as we always do with the scores going on across the NHL. You are locked into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back after this.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
And welcome back into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam and Zach back with you here. Lots to get through on tonight's show, but we did want to give a quick shout out to each of our sponsors there, and also a shout out as well. We've got one of our newest sponsors at the station, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com. Use the promo code IESR for 10% off of your order. Pairs nicely with the Vital Apparel. So you know you're already going to be working out. You're getting new threads. You're getting 15% off those when you enter the promo code IESR. Well, you also are going to need supplements to help recover from your workout. Use IESR in the promo code for 10% off of your supplements there. So thank you to Raw Nutrition for that. This show is available for you on social media. On Twitter, we are at IESR Neutral Zone. You can also follow along with me on Twitter. I am at Adam_Karnick. On Blue Sky, you can follow me at AdamK87. Zach is at The Pupless. And if you are listening live tonight on either YouTube or Twitter, hop on into the chat room. Taryn Rodriguez is there. Good evening, Adam and Zach. Have an amazing show. And Taryn pointing out the Kings currently have the best home record in the NHL. You need something good to cheer about in LA right now. So there's something that the Kings at least giving you something. So yeah, the best home record in the NHL for the LA Kings. Well, we always like to start off the show with tonight's current scores in the NHL. We've got a lot to get through on the show. So Zach, take it away. Who's doing what right now in the NHL?
Sure, Adam. We got the Lightning and Canadiens. They're in the third period right now, tied 2-2, scoring from Kucherov and Gensel. And Canadians scoring from Newhook and Slavkovsky. Senators and Rangers. Rangers are up 3-0. That's also in the third, with a goal from Lafreniere and Rempe. My Red Wings are tied with the Flyers, 1-1, with 8:44 left in the third. Red Wings got some goals from Chirot. Sharks and Preds. in the second. Sharks are up 4-1 on that one. It goes back to like what we were talking about the Red Wings last week. Surprised that they lost to the Sharks of all teams, and the Preds are now losing to the Sharks too.
Man, the Preds are bad.
Yeah.
Man, the Predators are just bad this season.
Must be a chemistry issue with some of the new faces.
Yep.
We got Hurricanes and Stars in the second. There's no goals in that game at all yet. Sabres and Canucks still come tonight at 10 p.m. Same with Panthers and Ducks at 10 p.m. And one that the puck just dropped on this one. Capitals and Oilers. 0-0. 20 minutes to go in the first. Let's go.
Let's go. Exactly. That's gonna be our big story tonight for a lot of reasons. It's gonna be that game. Though before we get into that, I have to just close the loop on something real quick that we talked about last week. So we were talking about your Red Wings, and I wondered if you know you're so proud of them, for the longest winning streak and all that until they lost to the Sharks.
I wondered if we'd be going there.
Yes, we have to close the loop on this because I asked you as they were getting ready to make a trip down into Florida and then over to Texas to take on the Stars. It was not going to be an easy road trip, and I asked you what would be a successful road trip for you going into that. Do you remember what you told me a successful road trip would be on that one?
I think if we split.
All right. Well, Thursday night last week against the Panthers, 5-2.
Nice.
Good start. Get 2 points right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Then they went up to Tampa Bay and lost 5-1 to the Lightning.
Yep.
All right. So kind of a rough one there. And then they went to Dallas and lost 4-1. So 2 points in the 3 games and got outscored by, in 2 of them, 9-2 and overall 11-7. So a successful road trip, or oh boy, now they're headed backwards from whence they came.
A little underwhelming for sure.
A little underwhelming. That's how I was thinking with it as well. And now tonight, then they are tied with the Flyers in the third period, though they were trailing. So you at least they got back into it at least.
Yeah, true. And
all
we got
right.
Tampa Bay again on Saturday at home.
Yep. So yeah, get to have some fun. Though the Blackhawks will be softening Tampa Bay up for you a little bit because they come to Chicago on Friday night. So possibly there will be a little softening there.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
So we'll see how that goes.
Sweet.
But the big one, as you mentioned, the game that is just getting underway right now out in Edmonton, the Oilers hosting the Capitals tonight. A big matchup. Big in part, though, because of somebody that's not there in attendance for the game tonight. Serving the first of a 3-game suspension, Connor McDavid not in the lineup tonight because of a match penalty he received in the game in Vancouver on Saturday night when he cross-checked Conor Garland and then wound up getting into some fisticuffs there in the game as well. So Connor McDavid is officially suspended 3 games without pay. It happened in the third period of the game against the Canucks. Taking a look at Edmonton's schedule, obviously they're hosting the Capitals tonight. But then the next 2 games for Edmonton on there that he's going to be missing. He's going to be missing a rematch with the Canucks on Thursday, and then on Saturday afternoon, a home game against the Sabres. He'll then be eligible to return this coming Monday night for a home game against the Kraken. So what do you think on that? An appropriate suspension, too hard, too lenient? What are your thoughts there on that, Zach?
3 games. I think that's probably just right. Just to let them know that the league means business and they're not going to mess around with any kind of anything that could really hurt anybody else.
Yeah, especially I mean it was a blow to the head. It's that's something where you can't let that slide.
Yeah.
You have to send a message there with that a little bit.
Yeah. Coach Chris Knobloch said, Conor gets frustrated. He gets his stick up. He's frustrated because we're down 1 goal, and the best player in the league is getting held for 15 seconds.
Yeah. Draisaitl wasn't happy about it. He what was the quote that I just had pulled up there? This is from Leon Draisaitl. Oh, I guess we don't overly care about having our best players in the league in the game.
Salty for sure.
Yeah. My advice to that would be maybe don't hit somebody in the head.
Right?
Oechkin was asked about it before tonight's game. He did, and here's his quote. It's a game, it's a passion, obviously. I don't think he meant to do that. But sucks for him, good for us. He's not playing tonight. We'll take it.
Right. Now time to capitalize. In more ways than one.
Oh, man. Oh, boo, but don'ts on that. But as we're getting ready then to discuss that game, the Capitals, of course, they're white hot coming into this game. They're leading the Metropolitan Division by 8 points in front of the Carolina Hurricanes. They also have a game in hand on the Hurricanes. They've played 1 less game than they have, 31-10-5. And then, of course, Alexander Oechkin is just continuing to find the fountain of youth, continuing to do just enough to be one of the greatest goal scorers in the league, despite the age there. And you pointed out there was another milestone that he hit getting ready for this game.
Yeah, just the other day. Let's see here.
Oh, while you're pulling that up, the Bold North Breakdown points out on Twitter, McDavid also elbowed Johansson for the Wild, and Johansson is now on injured reserve with a concussion. Yeah, so McDavid's not exactly the innocent angel darling that maybe Draisaitl and some of his other teammates would like to make him out to be. McDavid definitely... He lets his emotions get the better of him from time to time. He has a bit of a reputation. Glenn of the Bold North Breakdown pointing that out to us. Thank you for that, Glenn.
Yeah. So last Thursday, with an overtime goal number 874, Alex Oechkin scored on goalie number 179.
That is a lot of goalies.
Uh-huh.
That is a lot of... Do you suppose he has a puck from each one?
Gosh, I hope so.
That now, okay, let's play this scenario out for a second. You've got all 179 of these pucks somewhere. Do you go to get them signed? Do you take them to each of the goalie and, hey, this is the first time I scored on you. Would you mind signing the puck? If you're a goalie and he does that, do you do it?
Isn't that like rubbing salt in the wound a little bit?
I think it is. I'm not sure if I'm a goalie if I would play along with that.
But at the same time, if he's gonna be better than Gretzky, I mean, wouldn't that also be kind of an honor too? Like, oh my gosh, Oechkin wants me to sign his puck. Of course, I'll sign his puck.
If I'm giving up that goal, that's different. If I gave up just one of the random ones earlier on and it was, hey, this is the first time I ever beat you, yes, screw you too. That'd be kind of my reaction to me. What, you want me to what? You want me to no? Tell you what, I'll sign that one if you bring me all the ones where I stopped you and you signed those. Then we're in business, Then now let's talk. I think that might be my reaction to that.
Be like, get lost, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Wait a minute. I'll do this if you do this one for me instead.
Well, I heard a story about game balls in the NFL, right? So,
okay.
NFL stands for not for long. So, some people might be lucky to get one game ball. Well, this one guy tells a story about being at Peyton Manning's house, and he's got baskets and baskets and more baskets, and everywhere you look, he's got game balls on the mantle, on the way down the stairs to the basement, on the way upstairs to the bedrooms. Just baskets full of game balls everywhere. I imagine Ovechkin's the same way with all these pucks.
Yes, yeah, probably. He's got boxes just full of pucks, just full of pucks somewhere.
So yeah, with that goal, he moved one step closer to another Thursday night. The chasing Gretzky and all. He broke the mark for the most goaltenders scored on, beating Levi Meriläinen in overtime to give the Capitals a 1-0 victory over the Senators in Ottawa. Meriläinen became the 179th goalie Ovechkin has scored against, breaking a tie with Jaromir Jagr atop the career list. Good old Jaromir.
Yes, good old Jaromir Jagr, indeed. So they're getting ready. They're getting ready to have themselves a big one there in Edmonton. Edmonton tonight on that one. That should be a very entertaining. And we already have a score in that one. We are 8 minutes in. Speaking of Leon Draisaitl, Leon Draisaitl netted his 34th of the season 3 minutes into the game. So it is already 1-0 Oilers on top. So no McDavid, but at least right now they're still able to have some success to get started.
Yeah. The goalie he scored on says, when he's on the ice, he's going to shoot everything like he did today. So he's trying to pass Gretzky's mark of 894, and he's on pace to get to 895 and beyond this spring. So we'll see.
We'll see. Yep, we'll see. So from a man that, has scored over 800 goals, we now need to transition over to a man that has scored 1. But what an offensive night it was, because we're talking about Alex Nedeljkovic. Now, a 2-point night normally in the NHL, hey, that's an outstanding night. You did a job well done. Good for you. But it's not necessarily unheard of. It's not stop the presses. Unless you're a goalie. Whoop, as I've got something in the back playing. Sorry about that. There we go. Now it'll work. But for the Pittsburgh Penguins, Alex Nedeljkovic, not only did he get 2 points, he had a goal and an assist in this game against the Buffalo Sabres. He made 40 saves on the game. That's a heck of a night.
Yeah.
That's an amazing night. He gets an assist. The assist came. I'm going to pull up. Of course, what everybody wants to talk about is the goal. Nedeljkovic becomes the 16th goalie in NHL history to score a goal, but he got an assist on a power play goal in the second period. So he has a multi-point night. It is the first time in NHL history that a goalie has a multi-point night, a goal and an assist.
Wow.
He also scored goals in the ECHL and the AHL. Mm-hmm. So he is the first goalie in recorded history to score a goal at all 3 levels of U.S. major hockey.
Right? That's incredible.
That's outstanding. And by the way, he stopped 40 out of 42 shots.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. That is some amazing stuff right there.
Yeah.
Job well done.
Yeah.
Job well done.
Well, you said he becomes the 16th goalie to accomplish the feat. Minnesota's Philip Gustafson was the last to do it on October 15th against St. Louis, which I think we talked about back then too.
We absolutely do. Hey, goalies score a goal, that we talk about it on this show. That is an unwritten rule. We have a lot of written rules. We have a ton more unwritten rules. That is top on the list. That and e-bugs. If an e-bug comes out there, we're talking about it. We are stopping the presses.
It's a big deal.
That is a huge deal.
Nedeljkovic is quoted as saying, "I've always enjoyed playing the puck. Growing up, I watched some of the best guys do it, like Marty Turco, Martin Brodeur, were 2 guys that I watched a lot and really learned a lot from in terms of puck handling. It's been part of my game as long as I can remember. Started from conversations with my dad in the car telling me to, don't just throw the puck around the boards every time you get it. Try to make a smart play with it. Put it on guys' tape. Don't just do it. If you're going to do it, at least try to make something out of it." It's really exciting right now.
Yeah. It's good for him. Good for him. And he scores the goal, and then of course he gets to do the victory lap of going up and fist bumping with all his teammates and gets mobbed. So good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. A historic night for Alex Nedeljkovic. 2 points, a goal and an assist in that game against the Sabres.
Oh, yeah. Also,
go ahead.
Real quick, he is the second Penguins goalie to score after Tristan Jarry was the first to do it on November 30th of last year, or 2023. The only other franchise in NHL history to feature multiple netminders with a goal is Nashville. Pekka Rinne on January 9th, 2020, and Chris Mason on April 15th, 2006.
I could have guessed Pekka Rinne. I would never have guessed Chris Mason. I would
had no idea.
Never have come up with that one. Yeah, never, ever would have come up with that one.
Yeah.
But that's not our only goalie news of the show. We also had some silliness going on in there we go. Got it right. As in the ECHL, the East Coast Hockey League, we had a goalie fight. To get through. The Rapid City Rush's Matt Radomski took the Kansas City Mavericks' Jack LaFontaine. This is in Independence, Missouri. The game was 5-1 on Saturday night. But that really was not the story of the game, because you don't often see goalies go at it. Radomski and LaFontaine took the ice. LaFontaine got the worst end of it. Only got in one punch. Then tried to fall on top of Radomski. The two of them. It was a quick fight. They were allowed to stay in the game though, as teammates served the penalties for them.
Oh, makes sense. Yeah.
How do you feel about that rule? That's a standard rule across hockey, that if the goalie gets hit with a penalty, somebody else goes in and serves it for him.
I think that's fair. Goalie's such a specialized position. It's like you can't just throw anybody out there.
You have a backup though.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, yeah, and And at that point, it's like, well, you're the one that shot yourself in the foot. You should be the one that has to live with it. And, okay, so if somebody scores on you, that's your own fault because you got the penalty.
I would still say you should have a goalie out there, and you should be playing a man down. But I think I'd like to see it that no, the primary goalie has to be the one to go serve the penalty, and you have to bring up your backup netminder cold off the bench. He's got to come out there for 2 minutes. I think I'd like to see and be down a man. I think I'd like to see that.
Yeah, true. Especially going out there cold, not knowing that you had to be out there, so you're not necessarily warming up other than what you did before the game, and maybe you're doing throughout the game.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And heaven help you if you've got an e-bug on the bench, because now you've got to. There's an e-bug because then you have to use him. Do not commit a penalty if your only backup is the e-bug.
Right.
I think I'd like to see that, though. I think, especially the concern is always, how do we generate more scoring? How do we generate more scoring? How do you get more offense? Because that helps, keep eyeballs trained on keep it trained on it. But I think I'd like to see that. It's where, all right, fine, you have to have a goalie in net, but the goalie has to go serve the penalty and then bring in the backup cold and be a man down and try to survive those 2 minutes and see what you do. It would certainly be entertaining.
Yeah, true.
It would certainly make things entertaining, to say the very, very least. We'll have to get Ricky K's opinion on this when we come back from a break. And I see that he is here and he is very patiently waiting for me to hit the button. So we are going to take ourselves a quick break, and then we have a guest lined up for you tonight. Ricky K of the New York State of Sports. He recently covered a PWHL game, the New York Sirens. We want to get his take on that game, the PWHL as a whole, and I know I can't help myself. I'm going to have to poke the bear and ask him about the Rangers. It's probably going to be painful. He's probably going to hang up, but it'll be worth it. You are listening to the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back right after this.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at iSports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a city that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
And welcome back out into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam and Zach back here with you. We went through a ton of NHL and even some ECHL news there in a kind of rapid fire first half of the show there for you. But we have got a special guest coming on now. You just heard the drop. He covers all things New York sports here for IE Sports Radio, and he recently went and covered his first ever hockey game covering the New York Sirens. And he got to witness a little bit of history. So we welcome on into the show now, Ricky K. Ricky, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I am happy to be in the neutral zone. Hopefully I stay out of the penalty box, but it's good to be with you guys tonight.
Oh, thank you. And we all wind up in the penalty box at one spot or another. Zach and I, we usually say something stupid, and there it goes. So you'd be fitting right in.
Go off the rails quite a bit, yes.
We do it so much. We put it in the promo even. So, Ricky, first of all, let everybody know where to follow you on socials. And I believe the drop now, I think your show time has changed. So where can everybody catch up with you, first of all?
So you can follow the show on X at NY State Sports IE. It's at NY State Sports IE. You can follow me on X at Rickinator555, RICK, letter I, Nader like a Terminator 3.5. And yes, it's a different show time. Mondays at noon Eastern, so you get a chance, little Monday morning quarterback action. Check out some cool stuff. We got the Jets with the coaching search, Knicks, Rangers, which we'll get into, baseball, hot stove, all that fun stuff, and St. John's basketball. So much going on in New York. We hardly get an hour, but it's a lot of fun.
Man, mix it in some St. John's, and there's some good Big East stuff too. We'll have to at some point. DePaul went and won themselves a Big East game here over the weekend. I genuinely don't know what to do with myself about that. So we'll have to rub elbows on that later. But for right now, you've gotten to cover some sporting events before, but you got to experience your first hockey game as a reporting media member. Tell us about your time covering the New York Sirens here recently.
Well, first off, I want to thank the New York Sirens for allowing us at IE Sports Radio to have that opportunity. It was a lot of fun, a different type, and I was really interested because I was covering their results over the last couple weeks, and I was like, you know what? Let me see if the Sirens will allow us to get a chance to cover this game in a really good atmosphere at Prudential Center where the Devils play, so they get a really good venue. And I thought it was a really close league. I mean, there's only 6 teams, so the talent level is pretty much even out. Like, they were playing Toronto, and Toronto's in last. Toronto didn't really look like a last place team, and it was a good dramatic effort. Sirens won in overtime, and as you said, it was history's first 0-0 regulation game, which I found really interesting. And look, there's a lot of talent. I think it's not a lot of household names, especially for fans, but if you follow a lot of the Olympics, someone like Alex Carpenter, I think is one that people will remember from the Winter Olympics for sure. And one of the people I was very impressed with is the Sirens goalie, Corinne Schroeder. She had 3 shots in the first period that she faced, so she probably was just sitting back there wondering when. And then she saw 17 shots in the second. I don't know how she stopped them all, but the focus level to go from 2 extremes. I mean, she had back-to-back shutouts, and they go through 3 goalies, but I think it was very fun. And good thing on the weekend for like a family atmosphere as well. I know that we'll get into it. The neutral site games have done extremely well, but for a weekend activity in the tri-state area, it was a good experience.
Yeah, they've done an excellent job of drawing really ever since they've been in the league here. Now, a 0-0 game sometimes that can a new fan, that can sound kind of boring. Was it talk about the game itself? Because a lot of times, what I've gotten to experience some tight 0-0 going into extra time, and it's, my goodness, they can be fascinating up and down the ice, the shots. And like you say, the goalies all of a sudden have to go from 0 to 100 like that sometimes.
It was different because the first period, the Sirens outshot the Scepters 10-3, and then the second period, Toronto comes right back out, shoots them 17-3. So I've never really seen a game where the ice was – usually when the ice gets tilted in one direction for the remainder of the game. You had the ice tilting back and forth and not a lot happening. And the third period is basically – I remember a 2-on-0 that didn't even hit the net. So it's kind of some weird not scoring chances that didn't end up being scoring chances. And then you had the overtime where, unfortunately, in the PWHL, and maybe fortunately for the Sirens, you can't review offsides. And just Jesse Eldridge was offsides. But it was a good game-winning goal. Look, I'd always say with low-scoring games, if you have a lot of action, then it's worth it. Like, I have my younger brother who I try to tell with baseball, 3-2 is good sometimes when the pitchers are dealing. If 3-2 and nobody's striking anybody out, that's a little bit different. So it depends on the atmosphere, but I think I was interested to see the ice tilting in multiple directions when it's usually just if the ice tilts one way, you're in for a long night.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You never want that. Zach, I'll give you a chance to jump in here a little bit.
Sure, yeah. So with the way last year ended, looks like Toronto had topped the regular season rankings, and then Minnesota beating Boston in the final series to win the cup. So do you predict any team's going to pull away and make some sort of dynasty, or is it they're pretty equally matched, all the different teams playing each other, you think?
Well, I think, Zach, it's pretty even right now. I mean, right now Montreal's ahead. I haven't gotten a chance to see Montreal play, but Minnesota's got 20 points and New York's beat them a couple of times. And pretty handily, it was like a 5-0 result about a few weeks ago. So nice. I think we look at the Sirens; they got 16 points. They're right in the mix in the 4th position. So it could go either way. I mean, tonight, tonight actually had Ottawa win 1-0 over Minnesota, and those are like 2 versus 3 right now. Technically, it's sure. It's where you have 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, one team's first, and then 2 weeks later, they're in 4th. It's kind of gone back and forth. I think it creates for some good drama. I mean, Toronto maybe not having the best years so far, but if you already had Boston and New York make a trade, which is really weird that you get that in any sport, but in this sport you get a Boston New York trade. They
don't like to play very nice.
No, but I mean, hey, it is what it is. You can, and it's. I always say you never get the generational Boston New York trade. What I mean by that is like when you have Red Sox Yankees, they'll never trade great player for great player. Like I remember like Steven Drew for Kelly Johnson. I mean, this trade was Taylor Girard goes to Boston for Jill Saunier. Those aren't really two stars, I would say, but it's still an interesting swap when that happens.
Yeah, you're not gonna see Aaron Judge for Chris Sale, but you might see. Oh, you need a backup catcher? Sure, we'll send you our third guy for some for some dude.
They don't want to make the wrong news by angering people by doing business with the enemy. What are your thoughts on the names, and what are your thoughts on expansion?
I think expansion is interesting because, I mean, like I've said, when you look at these atmospheres they're getting in Denver in particular and the other neutrals, it was one of the most viewed in terms of attendance in that arena, which was great. I think the only thing that's been interesting is the weekend games seem to draw, but not the midweek event when you look at attendance numbers, especially in New York and Boston. And I think that's to be expected because Tuesday and Wednesday in the U.S., you've got so many other things going on. It's going to be really tough to draw that big crowd as opposed to the weekend. I think that's where the U.S. expansion is interesting because Canada is getting they're playing these games. Even I think I saw one like Vancouver between the two Canadian teams, and you're getting those draws, which is fantastic. So maybe you expand a little bit more in Canada. I don't know where you would go, but maybe you would try that. The names, I love the Sirens name. I think it's really cool, and they definitely play off that. You got the fans doing the whole "wee woo" chant, which is every time they talk about the Sirens. I think I love that they spell Scepters a lot different. It's just like this, like for Toronto. But I mean, the Minnesota Frost, I think, is a really fun name. That's when they get one of my favorites. The names are great.
That's our
I'm
favorite.
just interested. That's your favorite.
I'm
just interested to see what they do. I'm just interested to see how they handle if they want to expand here in the U.S., where they would go and can they get the continuous buzz? It's great when you have that one event. Can you get it continuously going? Is going to be interesting.
We were debating that last week, and we said there's a difference between making geographic sense versus making sense in terms of where the passion is. Like, okay, you might have more passion in Canada for it, but at the same time, okay, how far, or even Denver in the U.S. But okay, then that one seems kind of an outlier compared to everybody else in the Midwest and the Northeast. And so how do you want to go without adding another team out there? And so it almost seems like you have to have a good balance. Like we talked about, maybe also exploring other markets such as like Milwaukee, where the college presence is also really strong.
Yeah,
I caught that last week. I kind of.
We were saying
I caught that last week.
Go ahead, Ricky.
I caught it last week, and I was intrigued with. It's okay. I caught it last week, and I was I think that's a great idea, because if you're looking at it, you kind of got to view it like the minor league baseball way, in a sense, where like if you go to that college market and that college player gets drafted in the PWHL, you can keep following that player and kind of go that direction, because I think you want more of as much of a household names as you can have, and be able to market these teams and market these players and kind of increase that buzz. I love Denver, but I don't know how especially all the Northeast teams, even in Canada, there's not like a team in Vancouver where you can have that kind of travel as well. And you're right, geographically doesn't make sense. I think feeding off that college hockey enthusiasm and maybe the AHL type of leagues might benefit more than looking at the popular NHL cities.
Yeah, I think anything you could do to help make yourself the unique game in town, rather than just be yet another hockey team in the market, would be a wise way for them to go.
Yeah. We agreed that any of the names are still better than the Utah Hockey Club.
Boring. Oh my goodness.
Yeti was right there. Right there.
Aren't they having a trademark issue with that, I read?
Maybe.
They're just boring. I've done this rant too many times. I'm not going to do it again. Just suffice to say, they're boring. They're boring people. I will give you a chance here. Now, I did see. Now, it's obviously very early and I would argue premature. But if they were to expand, there is some thought that maybe the New York team should move if the PWHL is going to look at some different markets. What would you think on that?
See, that's the thing. I don't get the relocation thing, because at the same time, where would you go that you're going to draw much better? I mean, you're already playing in essentially an NHL venue, which I think is a really good thing for them. I don't really know where that would necessarily make a lot of sense, because I get that I don't get where leaving New York and New Jersey is a good thing, because especially when you look at the other teams locally, I mean, the Liberty are coming off a WNBA championship, and I know that they've been around since the late 90s, so that would make more sense. But you look at a team like Gotham FC, who's in WSL, has got a championship and has done good playing at Red Bull Arena. So if you're not drawing the numbers in New York and Boston, how does moving out of New York and relocating necessarily make sense? I would think you try to take advantage of that market.
Yeah, let's face it, moving out of the number one television market doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
No. Question on the name of the league. So they went with PWHL. So why not follow? Okay, you talked about the Liberty. Why not follow in the WNBA's footsteps and call it the WNHL? Like, would they have to pay rights to the NHL for that? Like, how does that work?
Unfortunately, I would actually ask you guys that question, why they wouldn't do that. That would, to me, that would make some sense. I guess you got the AHL, the KHL, all these things. I mean, adding the professional part to it, I think, is interesting. But, I mean, what do you guys think on that?
I actually like that they didn't go WNHL. That it's to me, it's that spark of creativity. It's too easy to just, we'll just put a W in front of it and call it a day. This is you're actually showing a little bit of creativity. You're showing some ingenuity. You are trying to distance yourself.
Sure.
That this is, we are our own entity. Part of I think the reason the WNBA is the WNBA, they're owned by the NBA. Yeah, that's part of how they've been able to stay afloat for 30 years.
Sure.
They're owned by the NBA. This is its own thing. So the name doesn't bother me at all.
Okay. Well, no.
I kind of like it.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I kind of like it. Okay, Ricky. So you cover everybody in New York, and you do an outstanding job at it. You and I got to have some fun last season as the Rangers went on a bit of a postseason run, came up shorter than maybe Zach and I were necessarily expecting. This season, holy cow, it couldn't be more different this year in New York. What is wrong? What is wrong with the Rangers and the Islanders? What is going on over there? Have they just have their sticks all broken? Has the ice melted? What's going on? Why are they so terrible?
Well, at least on the Rangers side of things, it looks like they're starting to find something. I mean, you guys have probably covered it tonight. They picked up a huge win against Ottawa, 5-0, back-to-back shutouts for Igor. He's starting to find it since coming back. They're starting to score goals. They're getting consistent production since the new year. So it seems like something is starting to click, but I couldn't figure it out. And I don't know if it was tuning out the coach. Is it this guy's not getting playing time? They don't give Kako enough playing time, so they trade him. They make Zach Jones mad because he's not playing. You've got Stars not performing. Mika doesn't want to go anywhere. Trouba and Kreider are on the block, and then they take forever to get rid of Trouba. To me, this is all on the general manager. And I have not seen zero accountability from Chris Drury because I've seen this group of players change coaches constantly, and it doesn't change anything. So Peter Laviolette didn't deserve to lose his job because these players just aren't the right group of players. Nevertheless, they're 2 points out of a playoff spot. So in this muddled Eastern Conference, they should make the playoffs. And I think that's one of those things that if they don't, then you're going to maybe see the coach and the GM lose their job in that. But Brewery's got the year of James Dolan. So that's one of those things that I'm interested in to see what actually happens with him. And he needs to make moves at the deadline. The Islanders, I think it's weird because you heard Patrick Waugh say a couple weeks ago, I know we're playing well, but I can't point to what we're doing well. And that's like, it's like the coach that wants to be negative, but doesn't know how to be negative because this Islander team's gone through a lot of injuries. They aren't getting they've been struggling the third period the last couple of years. And do they sell? Because if they do sell, they've got pieces to trade that are going to help them long-term. Like somebody like a Brock Nelson. Brock Nelson's been one of the better Islanders. He just became 5th on the all-time goal-scoring list. But a team like the Capitals that could use another veteran could be looking at him and say, I want to get him. Kyle Palmieri. They've got the guys that can move. It's just a matter of does Lou want to move, and maybe has Lou kind of run its course with the Islanders because they just brought in Waugh, and Waugh did a good job last year getting to the playoffs. So I don't really see what the issue is. So Islanders thinking more trouble than the Rangers, and the Devils are getting some in a rut as well, to the point where Sheldon Keefe basically said their stars have to play better. But if the Devils can make a run, I'm interested to see if Jack Hughes can get more local love and Nico Hischier get more local love than what they get if the Devils can get on a run with this coach.
Right, yeah. I remember when Tavares left, like that was huge for them. I mean, they got a lot of capital back for that.
I mean, Barzal's been okay. It's really tough to replace an icon like John Tavares, and the Islanders have had their fair share of success. It's not like I think the expectations weren't great in the Metro, but they should definitely not be a last place team. Now they have won a couple of games, which is great. I think the Marcus Holgberg story has been really interesting. He hadn't played an NHL game in like 4 years, and he's won 2 key games for them. The problem for the Islanders the last couple of years, third periods, they're awful, and their penalty kill is awful. And again, you can't keep replacing the coach. They tried that. So eventually you don't want to change GMs, and Lou is such an icon in the tri-state area, but don't the Islanders eventually have to pivot? We'll see what they do. They have a few weeks to do it, but I would think the Rangers are more likely to buy in March than the Islanders are.
Well, the Islanders, too, when you change coaches as frequently as they have, the message eventually gets muddled with the players, too. It's, wait a minute, what system are we running? Oh, wait, no, that was the system 2 coaches ago. Whoops, let me get back to what we're actually doing. And that can be just as confusing, too, for the players. You almost have to just reset and decide, do we like this guy or not? And then almost just do a hard reset. And, okay, we need to focus in on a guy for a little bit, too, rather than just keep trying to fix the one weird thing on the fly.
But isn't that the Rangers too? Because you look at when they were struggling, it was the young guys that were actually playing well. The Lafrenières, the Will Cullies, who's had a good year. Borgen's done a nice job. Berard, when he came up, did a good job. And I think you look at this group, they have a lot of no movement clauses. Like Mika Zibanejad, be the guy you move. He doesn't want to go anywhere. Chris Kreider, we'll see if he wants to go somewhere. And what I'm interested in is obviously there's a lot of talk around JT Miller. Okay, what does JT Miller do that he didn't do in New York previously that makes this team better? Ottawa's not bad enough where everybody knows Chris Drury wants Brady Tkachuk. Brady Tkachuk isn't coming here. So that's what it's similar to last year. What does Chris Drury do with this group? Because it's not the young guys, it's the vets. And at some point, I've never seen a fan base really get on these players, and that's a good thing. Nobody was calling for Laviolette to go. It was just he might have to because there's nowhere else. They were on these players because they've gotten every change they've wanted. And I've never seen a team before the new year be the most resilient team last year where they were coming back every night to basically they couldn't win a game. They were down after 2 periods until a few weeks ago in Utah. I can't explain the drastic shift. How do you become the resilient to just not resilient in a year? It's beyond me, and I don't think anybody could figure that out.
With much of the same core, yeah.
Exactly. They didn't, and that was the big thing in the offseason. The only thing they really changed was Riley Smith and Sam Carrick, and Sam Carrick has been pretty huge the last few weeks for this team. But you bring everybody back and say, hey, let's go on a run to go from President's Trophy to this day missing the playoffs. It really baffles your mind as to what the heck happened to these guys and why couldn't they handle anything? And that's what worried you with Carolina. I mean, think about it. They're a Chris Kreider moment away from probably blowing a 3-0 lead to Carolina. And that shows you really where this team's mental mindset is at. But you got to give them at least credit for responding and taking advantage of a schedule where they're playing teams in front of them and they're getting points. And their schedule is very favorable. I think they play Colorado and Carolina in January, but it's at home. And they're playing Columbus and Boston and all these teams, Philly, that are right in the gaps, and they're getting those points to at least get them back in the picture. When you have Igor, at least as a low seed, you should get it done. And very quickly, somebody get Jonathan Quick that 400th win. I mean, it's been terrible the last 3 weeks. They have leads for him, and they can't get the win. And this Dallas game, the Montreal game the other night, where they had 4 leads and couldn't hold either one. Can we celebrate Jonathan Quick and just get him a 400th win? Because that's been kind of sad to see.
I'm looking at the Rangers' schedule, and I don't know where you set that up either. I mean, their upcoming schedule, they host the Flyers, host the Avs, host the Hurricanes to close out the month. Then they're at the Bruins, hosting Vegas, hosting the Bruins, hosting the Penguins. It might have to be all the way till February 8th might be the next time Jonathan Quick even takes the ice, and they're in Columbus taking on the Blue Jackets. Yeah, they gotta figure that one out for him.
Well, they do have the back-to-backs where at least maybe you get that Columbus Vegas game. They did They did beat Vegas in Vegas with Igor a few weeks ago. There's paths to get Quick a win. I mean, they're scoring. It's just the defense around Quick has got to be better. I think they've scored like 4 goals in each of the 3 games. Just something is kind of weird. But it's been good to see Jonathan Quick kind of be that vet support for Igor, and I think it has helped him as well, especially now he's got a contract extension. And he'll be around. That's why I'm interested with you guys, because I wanted to throw this out there. I know NHL.com is doing the quarter century teams. And one of the things we want to debate next week is who they pick a goalie for the Rangers in the last 25 years. Is it Henrik or is it Igor?
I don't know how it could be. Well, all right. I don't know how it's anybody other than King Henrik.
Yeah.
No offense to Igor. Igor has been a more than worthy, how do I want to say? He has picked up the mantle. He's picked up the gauntlet. He has taken over. He has done an excellent job. But to me, that's still King Henrik. That he is a Ranger icon to me. In that is just that's still one of the first guys I think of when I think of the Rangers. And not just because of the This is Sports Center commercial he did where he can understand what Swedish Chef is saying.
Well, yeah, maybe it's just my Swedish heritage bias showing through. But yeah, I got to go King Henry too.
No, I would agree, especially since I think the tiebreaker is he's been to a Stanley Cup final. Now, albeit when he had the Martin St. Louis and you have the generational players that the Rangers seem to have. And that's not saying Kreider's not a generational player, but Kreider's been part of both runs. Panarin, you would throw a couple other guys. And I think that the core around Henrik was a little bit better than the core around Igor. But Lundqvist, I think, again, you get to that cup final, and I mean, the comebacks against Pittsburgh, Igor, I think if Igor had won the Florida series, and he almost single-handedly did win the Florida series, maybe something changes. And he's got a lot to prove with this contract extension, because a lot of people were wondering, okay, why put all the resources there when they need to really figure out, okay, they've got maybe this year with this group, and then it might be time to tear it down because they're all going to get old at the same time. So Igor, with this now younger group of guys, is going to be the one where Henrik has gone through both the rebuilds and the cups. How does Igor handle that? Will be interesting. And at least Matt Rempe scored tonight. He didn't have to get. He gets in a fight with Brady Tkachuk, and he scores goals. I mean, there you go.
Oh, two legs of the Gordie Howe hat trick. Two legs of it there. We almost got there.
Well, and your Sam Carrick got in the assist too, looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, if somebody were to come to me with that, why did they give Shesterkin the extension? My response would be, because if you trade him away, you let him go, that you're just hoping and praying that you get somebody just like him back. Goalie is a lot like quarterback in the NFL, where that is the position you've got to have. And once you have one, you hang on to him. You can mix and match with all the other pieces, but that to me was absolutely the right move to give Shesterkin that money to have him hang around. You can figure out what to do with the veteran pieces, figure out what of your younger pieces to do, but having that net presence, you've got to have that. So one more quick from Ricky here, Ricky K of New York State of Sports. You catch him on Monday afternoons right here on IE Sports Radio. So the Rangers, they're on a little bit of a heater now with tonight's win. This is 4 wins in a row, 5 in their last 6. So you're talking 10 points out of their last 12. But they're still out of a playoff race. How real is this in your mind with them? And do they need to then be active at the trade deadline to put themselves over? Or is this, in your mind, this is the team that it's got to be one way or the other?
I think if they're even close to a playoff spot, they have no choice but to buy. Because if you sell what do you have to sell? We've kind of gone like DeAndre Miller, who's in a contract year. You're probably not going to get a lot back for him, and I think he might be gone just because of his frustration that he's had with not getting a long-term deal. And it really just, if you can't sell the vets because the vets don't want to move, and they've laid their bed with the no movement clauses they've given out, that you have to make life really hard for them to move. And Jacob Trouba even said that they basically forced him out. And I think this season would look a lot different if Trouba was let go in the summer like it should have been. The fact that they couldn't work that out before the season, basically let the captain, who's been on his way out, sit there and fester for the first 2-3 months, was ridiculous. But that's besides the point. I think in this Eastern Conference is just so average. And I think we've even seen that with the way the Devils have been losing and the way Carolina's been pretty good. I think they've been better than people think. But do we really believe in Columbus to stay the course? I mean, Montreal and Ottawa, we've seen the Rangers play well against them. Do they have enough? Boston to change coaches? Who knows with that core? I think it's about, does Chris Drury have enough? And is he willing to trade the pieces he needs to trade to get this team to the playoffs? Because if they don't get to the playoffs, the coach is gone, and I think even the GM is gone, because that would be a colossal failure. So they have no choice but to make the playoffs, and then you can evaluate from there. Look, they've been bad 5-on-5, but if they get the vets going, which it seems like they're starting to, if they can keep the young guys going, it seems like they've been doing, and I think it's the quality of opponent they've beaten in January. I think it's been impressive. Nearly beating Dallas, who's been one of the better teams, beating Vegas, and a lot of early January was without Igor. He was on IR, and they found a way to win with Quick, beating the Devils. Louis Domingue even got a win, albeit against your Blackhawks, Adam, but they got a win. So
we're happy to be doormats. It is what it is.
But even then, the Utah game, I think was a good sign because they finally won in the third period when they were down 3-2. So if things are starting to look better, they're not there, but I can't see with this talent that's on this roster how they don't make the playoffs. And then again, it's Igor can steal a series, and we see.
All it takes in the playoffs is you have a goalie get hot. That is what it takes. Ricky K of New York State of Sports, thank you so very much, sir. I enjoyed the heck out of this. This is great.
I'm happy to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on.
All right, that is Ricky K of New York State of Sports right here on IE Sports Radio. You catch him every Monday afternoon right at noon Eastern time. If it is a New York sport, pro, college, you name amateur, you name it, he is there and he is covering it. So, Ricky, one more time, where can everybody find you? Oh, actually, he just jumped off. That's all right. You can catch him at New York at instead of trying to make it up off the top of my head, I will just let you know right here. You can follow him on X at RickNader555 and the show New York State of Sports. You follow at NY State Sports IE. He is every Monday at noon. That is going to do it for our show here tonight. A little long tonight, but a good one. I don't know. What do you think, Zach? Is that a pretty good one tonight?
That was a great one, Adam.
There we go. We have some fun with that. Thank you again to each of our sponsors. Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to place your order. Vital Apparel. Go to vitalapparel.com. Enter the promo code IESR to get 15% off of their comfortable and inspiring gym wear, and you help them on their journey to help support mental health. Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Go to IESportsRadio.com/Seal the Deal Wax Seals to place your order. And then also Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to GetRawNutrition.com. Enter the promo code IESR for 10% off of your order. Thank you to Larry B, the czar and overlord of all things IE Sports Radio, for all the hard work you do behind the scenes. It does not go unnoticed nor unappreciated. Thank you again to Rick K of New York City Sports for being the guest tonight. Thank you to Taryn Rodriguez And also Glenn Ritter of the Old North Breakdown for hanging out with us in the chat room here tonight. Thank you to all 299 of you watching tonight, whether it's on Twitter or YouTube. Appreciate all the views. And thank you to everyone who's listening later on as a podcast on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You name it, anywhere you get your podcast, you can find the show. Enjoy hockey? Know somebody that is curious about hockey? Share the show with them. We love to introduce people to the game. We know it's not everybody's first sport. We try to make this as fun and entertaining as we possibly can. He is Zach. I am Adam. Together we are the Neutral Zone. We do this crazy thing every Tuesday night right here at 9 o'clock Eastern. Until next week, we will see you next time. Zach, what is it we want to tell the people?
See the Pulse Rock, drink 5 more, and look like it.
Sounds good to me. We'll see you next week. Have a good night, everybody.